Hey, hey, hey. That's my terrible Dwayne impression from What's Happening, if anybody's old enough to remember that show. Welcome to Slinging Mud in the Mancave. It's different from hockey books and storytellers. We're going to open it up to everything and anything anybody wants to talk about. So opinions matter. So if you have an opinion on anything, we'd love to hear it. So either comment in the comment section or you can email us. We have our own email address. It is slingmud33@gmail.com. So get your emails there. If you have any requests or comments or insults, we'd love to hear it. So slingmud33@gmail.com. So that's the email address to use. We're going to try and set up a phone system so you can phone in and give us hell directly, but we haven't got that figured out yet. So we're technically challenged around here. Every day is Canada Day right now. So I'm wearing my Canada shirt, and first thing I'd like to announce is that I have signed a 2-year, $20 million contract to be president and GM of the Vancouver Canucks. Now, as a first order of business, I would like to get them to sign the contract. So it's just one minor stumbling block left, and we'll see what happens. But I hope you like the new opening, and I think we'll move on. Any of you ever thought that the Terminator was not a true story? I have a story to tell you that's not true. That movie, The Terminator, was a documentary. So I want to tell you about my experiences at work. If you know me, you know I work in a lumber mill, and I am a lumber grader, which is kind of a misnomer because we don't really grade. We just we remanufacture. So say Canfor wants 100 loads of 2x10 14-foot cut back to 12-foot. We'll do that kind of thing for them, and then we just grade out the off-grade pieces. We're not. And a true lumber grader would they have like 6 or 7 different grades they have to send lumber to. So we don't do that. We're it's easy grading, as we say. So we have it pretty easy at work. So but the machines, Skynet, is real, and I'm going to give you a couple examples of why I say that, because there's we stand at a grader station, and the lumber comes floating by on chains, and the chains have these, they're called lugs, and they're just little nubs that stick up out of the chain, and they're all in a direct straight line because they push the lumber through the saws. So they have to be exactly perpendicular, otherwise the cut will be at an angle, and the customers don't want that. They want a perfect square cut. So now I was grading, or not grading, as it goes, but watching the lumber go by, and then all of a sudden where the unscrambler is, like a big lift of lumber will come up what's called a tilt hoist, and then it'll just dump it onto these chains, and the chains move into what's called an unscrambler. So the unscrambler picks pieces up one at a time, or supposed to pick up one at a time, and they put it up onto our chain, and the chain moves along. So I was not grading, and you're supposed to check the lugs every once in a while, because they can come out of alignment and push the piece through at an angle, and you end up with an angle cut. And if you don't notice, and it just keeps going, that's lumber that's no good to anybody. We've got to, it's basically garbage. So it can cost a lot of money if you don't notice. So anyway, I'm going hours with no issues. Then all of a sudden the unscrambler starts screwing up, and the lumber starts coming through in a big pile. So it's sending in lumber to me where I have to unscramble it myself. And so, like, I'm trying to figure out why it's doing that, and it's got my attention. In the meantime, while I'm watching that, a lug comes out of alignment and starts pushing it. And the boss happens to come on. Hey, like, why haven't you been? Why I've been watching over here? So the machines are watching, and Skynet is real. And I'll just give you one more example. And I'm telling you, this happens all the time. It's just like, we do this one run where it's 20-foot piece will be cut into 2 8-footers and a 4-footer, and the 4-foot are at the very end. So they barely catch the chains that they go on. So if for some reason the vibration is not perfect, or the, something malfunctions, those 4-footers will spin around, and they'll cause a major pile up if you don't catch it right away. So when you're at the stacker, which is further down the line, you're supposed to be watching that 4-foot. So anyway, so we're doing this run. It's a long run, couple hundred packages, and we're on this run for like a day and a half, and not one 4-footer has screwed up. They've all come through perfectly. Not one has ever flipped around or made a mess or anything. We haven't had to shut the line down at all for these 4-footers. So a day and a half. And so at the stacker, there's one guy, there's 2 stackers. So one guy on each stacker, and one of the other graders was doing that stacker where he had to watch the 4-footers. And so I'm on the other stacker. And so he had to go down and fix something down below. So I had to run both stackers. And so when you're running both stackers, you're kind of, it's hectic. You can't really watch the 4-footers. And it picked that time for the 4-footers to screw up. And the boss is watching, and he goes, hey, I'm fucking like, and then he started, I catch hell because I wasn't watching. Well, how he's, so I'm telling you, Skynet is real, and the machines know when you're not watching. So I could come up with a bunch more examples, but I am firmly convinced that the Terminator is a documentary, and Skynet is real, and the machines are self-aware, as they were supposed to come in 1996, according to Terminator 2. So anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. We got what's next on the agenda? It's just me today. Craig is otherwise occupied, but hopefully he'll be back next week. And it's springtime, and Craig runs a landscaping business, so you can imagine how hectic it is right now. And he's probably just running out of his mind trying to get work done, or work lined up for the summer. Booing the national anthem. So, like, it's Canada Day today, every day. Like Justin Trudeau said, we're not booing the Americans. We're not, my American friends, we are not booing you. We all have American friends. I would venture to say that every Canadian has at least one American friend. And so, and our two communities have been so tightly intertwined. Our economies are basically one. I mean, the trade that goes back and forth across the border is immense. It's billions and billions of dollars that goes each way. And so, our relationships with our American cousins is tight. We're tight. And so when you hear us booing the national anthem, we are not booing you. We are booing your government, who is putting on all these arbitrary tariffs, which hurts both economies. Nobody understands why it's going on. It just, now we're in the middle of a trade war, and we're actively seeking new trade routes and new trade partners. So, the United States might find itself, isolated, because nobody's going to want to deal with you. I mean, look at this way. Twice now, President Trump has broken trade agreements that were negotiated in good faith, that he signed, and twice now. Well, he didn't sign the North American Free Trade Agreement, but he did sign the last one, the Canada, Mexico, U.S. trade agreement. So he negotiated that one and signed it, and he broke that one as well. And he broke NAFTA. He just arbitrarily decided he didn't like the agreements anymore. And so it wasn't us, it was him. And so now credibility and integrity isn't a boomerang. It doesn't come back once you've broken it. So, you're if you're going to break agreements that have been negotiated in good faith and have been abided by all three countries, how are you ever going to make another agreement? Because it's it's a useless endeavor, because nobody's going to trust you ever again. It's like, when you take a loan out at the bank and you don't make your payments and they foreclose on you, and then you can't get another loan, at least not for a long time. I mean, say you got to build up your credit again. So, but with this kind of deal, it behooves me. I do not understand why it's happening, and hopefully we can get it all sorted out. So anyways, just know that when we're booing your national anthem, I personally would never ever boo another country's national anthem. I mean, I think that would be absolutely reprehensible, but in this narrow instance, I can get behind it. I wouldn't do it myself, but I approve of what people are doing. We're just letting our opinion known in that way, and it's maybe it's not the best way, but I get it and I understand it, and I wholly support what's going on. So know that we're not booing you, we're booing your government. So now I'm not going to be rambling on here too long. I got a few things I want to get off my chest. Next on the agenda is the book of the week. Is one of my favorite segments. I haven't got my copy here with me because my daughter's reading it and it's upstairs and I'm too lazy to go up there. So the book of the week is Holly by Stephen King, Holly. And Holly is a character he brought forth in the Mr. Mercedes book. And she was really just supposed to be a secondary character, but she turned out to be such a wonderful so wonderful that he made her a main fixture of 4 books now. So the first one was Mr. Mercedes, and there was Finders Keepers, and then there was another one, I can't remember the name right now, and now finally a book on her own, Holly, which I found I thought, what's he going to do with her? But it's quite brilliant, and it's about serial killers, and you will not believe who the serial killers turn out to be. So very, very entertaining, and I loved every page, and you gotta, if you haven't read that series, do so, because it's excellent. So Holly by Stephen King's book of the week. Music of the week, Dan Vasc, VASC. If you haven't heard of this guy, he's a YouTuber. He does covers. He's from Brazil, so he speaks Portuguese, and when he sings, you can kind of hear his Portuguese accent. So it's got quite the lilt to it, and he does a version of Amazing Grace, which absolutely blew me out of the water. I just it gave me goosebumps. So do yourself a favor and watch Dan Vasc. The name of the video is Metal Singer Performs Amazing Grace. So do yourself, but he does a whole bunch of other songs too. He's got a lot of videos out, and he's very talented. He's a metal singer, and one of the things I hate is when people say, well, he's just a screamer. I mean, he can't really sing, but some of these metal singers are ultra talented, and then Dan Vasc proves that point. And so if you want to get some goosebumps, watch that video. Forgotten movie of the week, Contact. 1997. I watched this movie again a little while ago, and man, I read the book before I saw the movie, and usually when I read the book and see the movie after, I'm always 99% of the time disappointed in the movie version of the book. But in this case, it was spot on. And the changes that they did make, they made some major changes from the book to the movie, but they all made sense and enhanced the story. And I loved both. So, watch that movie. That's the forgotten movie of the week, Contact. Great cast, one of the best casts ever. Jodie Foster, Matthew McConaughey, James Woods, Tom Skerritt, John Hurt, Angela Bassett, William Fichtner, Rob Lowe, Jake Busey, David Morse, Meryl Streep, Peter Fonda, David Carradine, Eddie Albert, Clark Gable, Humphrey Bogart, and Ken Curtis as Festus. Okay, well, I'm exaggerating, but but up until David Morse, they were all in the movie. So, yeah, watch Contact from 1997. Great movie. YouTuber of the week. That's another thing we're gonna have. I've been going big on YouTube the last little while. I found some YouTubers that I really like, and I want to support them, support their channels, and encourage and endorse them. And so the YouTuber this week is Tom Powell Jr. He became big on TikTok. He's got over 1.5 million followers on TikTok, and he's just recently switched over to YouTube. Well, he still has his TikTok account, but he's on all social media, every social media platform you can think of. I think the only one he's not on is True Social. So, very smart guy. Just basically gives his opinions on everything under the sun, and he engages his followers and his trolls, which I love. He really takes his trolls to task, and so check him out, Tom Powell Jr., Powell, and he's on YouTube. So yeah, check him out for sure. He's one of my faves. Very calm guy, very fact driven. Has the receipts to what he's saying, and so that's what we really like and encourage here. So that's about it. The last segment we're going to do is a new one, and I'll make it known in a minute here what we're going to call it. And now a little while ago, my American friends, your president, made a speech where he talked about $8 million being spent on transgender mice. Now, it wasn't transgender. It was. Now, this is a problem I have with your president. I mean, he's got many advisors, senior and junior, and he's got many people around him. Maybe he might want to invest in just one fact checker, because he comes up with these doozies. I mean, there are no abortions after birth. That's a big one. He always says they are not eating the dogs. They're not eating the cats. So now these transgender mice that he was talking about, it was University of Cincinnati, and it's transgenic mice. So it's just what they do is they alter the mice's DNA so that they react more like humans to these medicines that they are experimenting with. And so transgenic helps these studies where we're getting drugs out in record time to help with cancers and arthritis, diabetes, all these conditions, I'll say. And if somebody asks you, so you're saying that transgender and transgenic are not the same thing, your response to them is going to be, and I want you all to say it with me because it's going to be a regular thing: no shit, Sherlock. Sometimes the Dunning-Kruger effect is overwhelming. So anyway, that's all I got for you this week. We'll try to keep these things to 20 minutes, half an hour, and so happy Canada Day, everybody, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Hopefully Craig will be back by then, and we're trying. I actually contacted Tom Powell, and I'm hoping to interview him, and we should. I'm looking at some more guests too, so we'll have some more interviews lined up, and so we'll hopefully have a little bit more content coming up. So we're going to keep this one to about 20 minutes, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Okay. Ciao, everybody.